You are watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV from Toronto, Ontario. I'm Catherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. The world is watching as there are protests all across China after a blaze of fire killed Uyghurs in East Turkestan. We have an interview later on with Rizwangul Nurmuhammad from the Save Uyghur team from Justice for All in the US about how to stop Uyghur starvation due to these China's COVID policies. But first, we'll have a look at some headlines. Uyghur Advocacy Group stands with Chinese protesters. Vancouver rally shows solidarity with Palestinians. Canada announces monetary support for Cree Nation. Pakistan Taliban claims suicide blast killing 3. And now the details. Ottawa-based Uyghur Rights Advocacy Project, or URAP, has strongly condemned the death of 44 Uyghurs on Thursday night after a fire set ablaze an apartment building. Protests have erupted across China, blaming strict COVID restrictions that hindered residents from evacuating the building. URAP says that it stands with the protesters. Chinese officials deny the charge. The anti-lockdown protests are being described as the most widespread protests in the country since the Tiananmen Square massacre of 1989. A Uyghur man living in exile in Switzerland, whose aunt and her 4 children died in the blaze, says these types of tragedies are common for the Uyghur community. In Vancouver, a rally was organised on Saturday by several organisations to mark the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. The organisers include the Samidoun Vancouver, the Canada-Palestine Association, BDS Vancouver Coast Salish, and Independent Jewish Voices. The protesters called for banning the sale of Israeli wines. November 29 marks the International Day of Solidarity with the Palestinian people. It is meant to remember United Nations Resolution 181 that was passed in 1947. The resolution called for the partition of Palestinian land despite objections from the Palestinian people, which led to Israeli occupation and settlements. Canada will provide $62.5 million in support in the next 6 years for an Indigenous tribe rocked by a horrific stabbing spree that claimed 11 victims in September. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau made the announcement during a visit to the James Smith Cree Nation in the western province of Saskatchewan. In the wake of the tragedy, Indigenous leaders made renewed calls for better cultural-based substance abuse and mental health and healing services, as well as Indigenous-led police departments. Community leaders said drugs and alcohol abuse contributed to the fatal stabbings. A new wellness centre and new substance, mental health and addiction services will be created based on Indigenous healing methods. 3 people have been killed and 23 injured as a suicide bomber targeted a police truck in Quetta, Pakistan. The Pakistani chapter of the Taliban has claimed the attack. Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan, or TTP, earlier this week called off a ceasefire and ordered its fighters to resume attacks across the nation. A senior police official says today's blast targeted security forces preparing to escort polio vaccinators in the city of Quetta. The casualties include a policeman, a woman, and a child. The TTP was founded in 2007 by Pakistani jihadists. In 2014, a school attack carried out by TTP militants killed nearly 150 people, most of them pupils. And that's it for the news. Each month, we check in with a colleague from Justice for All in the US, a sister organisation to us at Canadian Muslim News. We learn about their latest campaign. Today, we are talking with Rizwangul Nurmuhammad about her work raising awareness of China's genocide of Uyghurs in East Turkestan. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us. One of the campaigns that you're working on is bringing attention to China's COVID policies and the devastating impact it's had on the Uyghurs. Can you tell us what's happening?
Yes, the Uyghur brothers, sisters in Chinese occupied East Turkestan now have been starving under the Chinese zero COVID policy since early August. It has been more than 3 months now that the Uyghurs are stuck in their homes without proper food. Some of them, they don't even have medical access. And we have been seeing the videos that provided by the Uyghurs and Douyin by risking their life
Mm.
to share those videos with
Mm.
us.
You said occupied East Turkestan. What does China call that region? It's more commonly known in the news as something else.
Yeah, China calls it Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region.
And Uyghurs themselves call it East Turkestan. Is that correct?
Yes,
That's the more indigenous name for their land.
this is the land. This is the name of the land that we have the rights.
Right. So you've been getting videos yourself. Have they been broadcast all over the world on different platforms, showing empty fridges and things?
Yes, and also the videos showing that people are dying. And those videos have been shared widely on social media as well as Justice for All's YouTube channel. YouTube channel, and those videos actually taken by the Uyghurs who are risking their lives because they know that by sharing those videos, they are putting themselves in danger and in the punishment from the Chinese authorities.
So this is going to sound very naive, but in Canada, when we were in lockdown and people who were elderly had trouble getting food, local communities got together and did grocery drops. From what I hear you're saying, it hasn't been the same there.
No, and what we know now is that people actually forced into lockdown without any notice. They were not given any time for preparation.
Mm,
People are ordered to stay where they are. So
mm,
some of them, they are stuck in their homes. Some of them, they are stuck in their workplaces. Some of them, they stuck and just in the fields that they are working.
mm. And why is it risking a life to bring attention to this? Why doesn't it bring about a reaction, a positive reaction of food drops? Why is it risking their lives?
Because they would like us to know their situation and to help them. We know also from the videos that the Chinese Han people, they are provided with food. Trucks and trucks of food are entering the region, but Uyghurs have no access to those food.
So
And Uyghurs
sending
are also forced to go into the COVID camps. It's very unbelievable that what while you preventing to the COVID to spread, but you are gathering people all together in the camps. Isn't it even better chance for the COVID to spread? It's
mm,
just unbelievable.
mm. Then how is Justice for All trying to help people so far away?
What we are trying to do is to raise awareness on this situation. We are reaching out to Congress people as well as representatives to know about this situation, to see the possibilities, what can they do. We also providing the videos to the global audiences to know about this situation and help as much as they can in whatever way possible.
And then once we're aware, what do you hope to come from that?
What we are hoping that the Biden administration, State Department, and governments around the world to persecute Chinese officials for the war crimes of this starvation and the genocide. We also demand the global community pressure the UN and International Criminal Court to open an investigation to prevent China from killing even more people in East Turkestan.
This
Also,
kind
sorry,
continue.
we also would like to see a humanitarian aid to be provided for the people in East Turkestan.
I'll try to come back to that if we have time. But in terms of the political lobbying, are you getting politicians agreeing with you that, yes, this is something we need to do?
We are trying to get the support.
Mhm. Then let's talk about the humanitarian assistance. China, if they are doing this on purpose, won't let any humanitarian organization in to help, I'm assuming.
Yes, and also as far as we know that China is using a series of like implementing a series of COVID policies called not stay sustainable by the World Health Organization that allows Chinese officials to withhold access to urgent medical aid and food. That's why this issue is, while it's urgent, it's also a little bit tricky and it's hard to get a resolution to that. But we are trying our best.
Another situation that the Uyghur people are facing in the camps, I'm understanding, is something called forced organ harvesting. Can you tell us a little bit about what's going on?
Yes, um, the DNA of Uyghurs have been taken. We know this information from the reports, as well as research papers, as well as the testimonies that camp survivors have provided. We know that the Uyghurs are targeted for forced organ harvesting. For example, my brother, Mawla Nurmuhammad, has been detained, arbitrarily detained by Chinese authorities. I haven't heard back from him for the last 5 years since um, January 2017. So, say that his DNA has been taken. May Allah forbid that if there is any um, organ request from anywhere in the world and that reaches to the Chinese authorities, and they use the database of the DNA, Uyghurs DNA there to match the organ request. And if there is a match, they will remove the organ from the Uyghur forcefully, and that's how it's done.
So
That's
this must be very hard for you. You're personally affected by this. How do you keep working every day?
Yes, every Uyghur is targeted for organ harvesting in China. And it is painful to think about it, but what motivates us to work is that we, we don't lose hope.
Hmm.
We keep raising our voice. We keep trying to reach out to people and organizations and governments that help us, supports us.
Hmm. So you're hoping that a bill before Congress, HR 151, if I remember correctly, stop forced organ harvesting, will pass, and you're lobbying around that. Can you just tell us quickly, we're almost out of time, about your lobbying efforts?
Yes, there is a bill called Stop Forced Organ Harvesting, HR 1592 and SR 602. This bill, if it's passed, will help us to combat the forced organ harvesting.
Mm. Well, we hope it passes, and we hope the Uyghurs are safe and get freedom. And we wish you well on your work every day through this most difficult time. Thanks for sharing with us on the show today. Thank you for watching. If you like what we do, please share, like, and subscribe. Stay safe, and God bless.